In a world where magic is being practiced, there is a boy named Alto, an extraordinary magician. At the Ortigia Royal Academy of Magic where Alto is studying, he's informed by his teacher to form a contract with a familiar, else he'd be unable to be promoted into the next class despite his good grades. His teacher also lets him know he had 24 hours to get his contract. Shortly afterwards, Alto's childhood friend, Lilia, asks Alto about what the teacher said. After telling Lilia about his troubles, Lilia shows her frustration and says Alto doesn't deserve to be delayed because he couldn't find a suitable familiar. Alto then decides to visit the library to find books that could help him in his quest. While contemplating in the library, a book falls from the bookshelves onto Alto's head. Alto observes the book and sees how old it is. He gets home and realizes that the book can be used to summon entities. Most of the writings in the book are no longer legible, but Alto manages to decipher the magic circle in it. After completing the magic circle, Alto casts a spell and summons something which turns out to be a beautiful female demon. The demon tries to make out with Alto, but he stops her and says he only wants the demon to be his familiar. The demon then agrees and a contract is reached. The demon kisses Alto and takes some of his mana to strengthen herself. She then informs Alto that her name is Vermiel. She also lets it out that Alto's mana is very potent. The next day, Alto's teacher initially refuses to acknowledge the demon as Alto's familiar, but Vermiel convinces him into agreeing, thus giving Alto the chance to be promoted to the next grade. While in class, Lilia acts jealous due to Vermiel's fondness over Alto. After class, Lilia challenges Alto and Vermiel to a duel. She says whoever wins will have the chance to command the loser into doing anything they want. Vermiel then agrees to the duel. Shortly afterward, the whole school witnesses the duel. Lilia summons a wind spirit and uses it to charge at Alto and Vermiel. Much to her dismay, her attacks are futile against the powerful Vermiel. Vermiel retaliates by using her own spell against Lilia, and she wins. Being the winner, Alto commands Lilia to be friends with Vermiel, and she hesitantly agrees. Later that day, Vermiel informs Alto that there are other ways she can access his mana aside from kissing, but Alto says kissing will suffice. Alto and Vermiel are seen walking into the school together. Alto tells Vermiel not to do anything that will draw attention to her. Just then, the students start panicking. Alto and Vermiel look back and see a loose dragon charging toward them. Without breaking a sweat, Vermiel sends the dragon flying high into the sky, and the students are amazed. In class, the teacher congratulates the students on their promotion and informs them that they will start digging deeper into the study of magic. Alto gently scolds Vermiel for showing how powerful she was during the dragon fight. Across the room, Lilia puts on her usual jealous act as she sees Vermiel swarming all over Alto. After class, Lilia tries to start a fight with Vermiel, but Alto reminds the duo of their agreement. Later that day, Alto, Vermiel, and Lilia are approached by two students, Rex. He tells Vermiel to apologize for hurting his brother's dragon. Alto then informs Vermiel that Rex is part of a club called the Dragon Riders, because their familiars are always dragons. Vermiel refuses to apologize, and Rex summons his familiar to attack Alto. However, Vermiel easily defeats Rex and his familiar. Upon getting to his room, Alto informs Vermiel that his goal is to be an incredible mage, and Vermiel promises to help him achieve his target. The next day, Alto, Vermiel, and Lilia are approached by two of their classmates, Marx and Cheryl. Marx tells Alto that he adores him because he has a powerful familiar. Just then, Alto, Cheryl, and Lilia are summoned to the headmaster's office. The headmaster tells the trio that a student representative is needed. He says anyone amongst the trio that brings him the fairy flower will be the student representative. The trio then enters the enchanted forest to search for the flower. Alto and Lilia soon find the flower, but they discover that it is being protected by a Cerberus. Lilia takes an invisibility potion to get past the scary dog. In her attempt to get the flower, Cerberus smells her and tries to attack her, but Alto and Vermiel help out and defeat the dog. Lilia takes the flower and is about to hand it over to Alto when her invisibility potion wears off. Out of shyness because she is unclothed, she throws the flower and it flies over to Cheryl. Cheryl is then appointed to be the student's representative, but Alto and Lilia seem to have no issue about it. Alto and Vermiel enjoy a cup of ice cream as the duo walk through the street. Vermiel informs Alto that she is enjoying the ice cream so much because she has been locked away for a long time. Just then, the duo witnessed the dragon riders, including their leader Chris, make a scene by flying over with their amazing dragons. During PE class, Marx informs Alto and his friends that Chris is on the student council, which shows that she is very influential. Later on, Lilia is seen ranting in the changing room about how close Vermiel is to Alto. She says Vermiel is up to something very bad and she can't seem to figure it out. Lilia also wonders if Vermiel is even human because she is very powerful. Cheryl then encourages Lilia to confess her feelings for Alto before it's too late. The boys in the changing room are seen shouting and screaming when Vermiel walks in to check on Alto. Shortly afterwards, Alto and his friends are seen taking a walk and having a discussion about the student council. Just then, the student council, including Chris, walks by them majestically. Later on, Chris beats up Rex as punishment for losing to Alto. She then proceeds to expel him from the Dragon Riders Club. Upon hearing this, Alto visits Rex at the infirmary. Alto gets angry and says he is ready to challenge Chris to a duel. Lilia tries to stop him, but he insists. At the dueling ground, Chris offers Alto the chance to back out, but he insists. Alto fires his magic crystal at Chris and thinks she is done for, but Chris comes out stronger. The fight goes on for some minutes. Chris seems very powerful, and every magic shot she makes appears to affect Vermiel drastically. She climbs on top of her dragon and proclaims herself to be the strongest. To defy Chris, Vermiel charges Alto's mana so he can conjure a powerful crystal construct. As the crystal flies towards Chris and her dragon, the scene cuts to black and the episode ends. Alto uses the huge crystal he constructed as a distraction and surprises Chris from behind. He holds a crystal blade to her throat and wins the duel. All the students, including Rex, are surprised that Alto could beat Chris. The latest duel win makes Alto more popular amongst girls, and most of them want some minutes with him. All this makes Lilia very jealous. While celebrating his victory, Alto is approached by one of the school's teachers, Professor Obsidian, who tells Alto not to always take duels lightly. He says every duel must have a reason behind it, and Alto says he did it because of Rex. Nonetheless, the professor lets Alto know he is proud of him. Chris is seen doing chores when Rex approaches her. She apologizes for treating Rex badly, and he accepts. Rex joins her in completing her chores. That night, Vermiel kisses Alto while he is sleeping. Alto wakes up and shows his disapproval. He tells Vermiel that you only kiss people that you love, and Vermiel says she loves Alto. The next day, Alto asks Professor Obsidian if a demon could love a human. Professor Obsidian says yes, but only because of the mana they get from humans. While eating, Alto asks Vermiel if she only loves him because of his mana, but Vermiel says no. She then kisses Alto without draining his mana to show that she loves him. Later, Professor Obsidian tricks a student, Emma, into his office and injects her with a serum, which then causes her to freeze over in her room. When the students find Emma, she's in a coma. The student council immediately has a meeting over the recent comatose students. According to the meetings, 4 students have been comatose recently. Soon after, the students are told to write a report on their familiars. While writing the report, Lilia sneaks into Alto's room with an invisibility potion to spy on him and Vermiel. After concluding the report, Vermiel checks the reports and adds that she likes Alto. Meanwhile, Chris is being attacked by a possessed Rex and his mutated familiar. A flashback scene shows how Rex and Chris met when they were still kids. The two were inseparable. Back in the present day, Alto and Vermiel go shopping. After buying groceries and foodstuffs, Vermiel says she wants some chocolate, but Alto refuses. Vermiel sits on the floor and starts acting like a kid till Alto agrees to buy her 1 cup of chocolate. Out of happiness, Vermiel kisses Alto right there in public. Alto tries to stop her because everyone was staring at them. Out of nowhere, Rex's brother appears. He says Rex needs their help. The trio quickly runs over to see Rex beating Chris. Chris uses everything in her power to fight Rex, but it doesn't seem to be enough. When Alto arrives, he shouts at Rex for what he has done, but Rex says he is ready to attack him too. Just as Alto prepares to engage Rex, the Students' Council President, Elena, arrives. She immediately defeats Rex with her powerful Judgment Sword and approaches Chris and scolds her for losing to Rex. However, Alto stops Alina from blaming Chris. While they talk, Rex mutters some words and falls into a coma. The student council meets again to discuss the occurrences around the school, but Chris leaves the meeting out of anger because of what happened to Rex. Later on, Alto is informed to prepare for the bronze square examination. Lilia is very excited by this because if Alto manages to win, he will be on the same level as Rex. While they are discussing, Vermiel excuses herself and heads out. Vermiel confronts Professor Obsidian and says she is aware of what he is doing. She says Obsidian is toying with powers above his level. Vermiel says everything he is doing is none of her business, but if he touches Alto, she will destroy Obsidian without mercy. As Vermiel turns to leave, Obsidian attacks her from behind and injects her with his evil serum. Immediately, the clouds turn dark and the whole school becomes aware that something is wrong. Vermiel turns to a giant demon and Obsidian says this is what he has been looking for. Alto had also felt something was wrong with Vermiel and he was already running toward her location. Professor Obsidian is very happy and delighted that he has a demon as his slave. He holds a chain around Vermiel's body and tries to control her. He then exclaims that his research finally paid off. Alto gets there and sees Vermiel in her true form. He gets confused and asks Professor Obsidian what he is doing. Obsidian boasts and says he has so much power now. He lets it out that he established a magical means of causing madness and it has worked perfectly on Vermiel. Alto stands there confused and Obsidian finally tells him that he has been the one behind everything happening to the students. Meanwhile, Alina is blocked from coming to the scene by a big monster. Obsidian continues to control Vermiel and declares himself her master. Just then, Vermiel breaks free of the chain and launches a fierce attack on Obsidian, but Alto gets in the way. Unintentionally, Vermiel punches through Alto's heart. Enraged, Vermiel goes after Obsidian again, but Alto stops her and begs her not to kill the mad professor. Vermiel gets sad and is able to transform into her human self again. Alto falls down unconscious and Lilia wonders if he is dead. Vermiel says she wasn't ready to lose Alto yet and proceeds to heal him with the mana she got from Alto. Obsidian gets furious and says it's not possible for a demon to heal a person. He then injects himself with his own formula and transforms into a hybrid demon. Without breaking a sweat, Vermiel launches an attack that punches a hole through him. Seeing that he has lost, Obsidian tries to fly away, but Chris's dragon shoots him and Vermiel knocks him out. The monster blocking Alina then leaves after Obsidian has been defeated. Later, Vermiel informs Alto that she joined her mana with Alto so he can live. She also says her heart is inside Alto's body, and if he dies, she dies too. Alto gets sad because demons are meant to live for millennia, but she has compromised that because of him. Alto later kisses Vermiel to show her that he loves her. Meanwhile, all of Obsidian's victims have woken up and Obsidian has been taken into custody by guards. Vermiel is busy looking at Alto while he sleeps. She thinks of how he kissed her to prove his love. While watching Alto, Alto mutters Vermiel's name from his sleep. Alto gets to school and sees the girls mourning because they won't get to see Professor Obsidian again. The boys are also mourning because Alto didn't come to school with Vermiel. The boys complain that they won't have someone very beautiful to gaze upon again. Alto tries to tell the boys that Vermiel is just taking some time to rest. Lilia catches up with Vermiel at the waterside. Vermiel apologizes for not telling her that she is a demon. Lilia tells her that it is okay as long as she is not an evil person. However, Lilia says if Vermiel gets out of control again, Alto will be there to stop her. Upon getting home, Vermiel lets Alto know how she feels and the duo reconciles. Alto promises to be the best master for Vermiel and she kisses him. The next day, Alto gets a uniform for Vermiel so she can follow him to school, but it doesn't fit well on Vermiel. Elsewhere, a witch, Heliodor, and a warlock Lowlight are seen having a discussion about Obsidian's failure. The duo just finished off a whole church and promised to finish what Obsidian started. Getting to school, all the boys go crazy once more upon seeing how endowed Vermiel is. Later that day, Vermiel takes Alto to a private place and kisses him, but Alto tells her that they can't do that in school. Shortly afterward, the student council enters the hall and informs Alto and Vermiel to come with them. Alina apologizes for not being able to help them during their battle against Obsidian and says Obsidian has escaped from prison. Just then, Alto and Vermiel are held at sword point. Alina asks him to tell her anything he is hiding, and Alto lets it out that Vermiel is a demon. One of the council members, Jessica, wants to kill Vermiel, but Alina stops her and says as long as Alto and Vermiel's life is linked, Vermiel will be good. Alina then uses the opportunity to invite Alto to join the student council. Hearing Alina's proposal shocks Alto so much that he opens his mouth. Alto then asks Alina if she only wants him on the council so she can keep an eye on him and Vermiel. Alina says Alto is right, but that it's not the only reason she wants him. Alina says Alto is stronger than he looks, and with Vermiel on their side, it makes things better. Marx, Cheryl, and Lilia are very delighted that Alto gets the opportunity to serve in the student council, but Alto doesn't tell them the reason Alina wanted him there. Later, Vermiel tells Alto to be careful around Alina because she believes her not to be human. She says Alina is giving her some weird vibes. Vermiel suggests Alina could have really killed Alto if he refused the invitation to join them. Shortly afterward, Alto walks in on Chris, Jessica, and Alina while they are changing. Jessica gets mad and suggests they punish him, but Alina and Chris say it's their fault for not locking the door. Alina then shows the council a paper golem from one of the creatures she fought. They examine it and realize that the magic is entirely different. The group realizes that their enemy might be on the platinum level because they are the only ones strong enough to create new magics. Elsewhere, Lowlight and Heliodor meet with the creature's master, Kohakamiya. Lowlight informs her that he has terminated a whole church, and this gets Kohakamiya upset because he was supposed to recruit the leader of the church. Lowlight and Heliodor then leave to target Vermiel and Alto. Later, Alto dreams of a child Vermiel crying in a ruined city. Then, a strange woman tells him to choose between helping humanity and bringing salvation, or helping Vermiel and bringing destruction. Alto wakes up frightened and starts to prepare for his bronze exam. Vermiel joins him and supercharges his mana in preparation for the exam. The next day, students from all over the country show up to take the exam. The proctor shows them a crystal ball with a flame in it. He says they need to strengthen the ball by filling it with mana, and this will measure the quality of their mana. All the other students believe the task to be easy, but Alto is worried that it is tougher than it looks. The proctor, Colonel Pharynx, warns the students that the test is not as easy as they think, but most don't believe it. He calls on the first student to perform the practical. The student proceeds, but finds it very hard to make the flame bigger. Other students keep trying, but none of them can figure it out. Lilia gets there and realizes that you have to fuel the flame with your mana and not the crystal. She places her hand on the crystal and makes the flame big to other students' surprise. Cheryl and a student from another school also manage to make the flame bigger, but Marx barely manages to affect it and pass. Upon seeing all these, Pharynx says he will be disappointed if this is all Ortigia has to offer this year. Alto, who is the last person to face the challenge, gets up and discovers that you can fuel the flame from other angles aside from the front. He realizes that the back of the crystal is the weak point, while the right side is the strongest. He is about to fuel from behind, but Vermiel encourages him to show off and fuel it from the right side. To everyone's surprise, Alto pours his mana into the flame and makes it so big that the crystal shatters. The proctor is impressed and tells Alto that he passed the practical aspect, but if he fails the written aspect, he is done for. Alto and his friends then have a fun time together in preparation for the written exam. Everybody encourages Alto to do well in the written exam. Before the exam, Vermiel takes Alto to the hallway and kisses him until he almost misses his exam. Alto and Vermiel walk past the student from the other school that also passed the test. The student enters the bathroom and complains that Alto was showing off. Just then, Lowlight enters and kills him. He then steals his exam ticket. Meanwhile, Jessica and Alina talk about Alto and Vermiel. Alina says Alto and Vermiel are definitely in love. Alto reaches the exam room, but Vermiel has to wait outside because their families can't enter. Lowlight enters the hall, sits next to Alto, and wishes him luck. While waiting for Alto outside the hall, Vermiel gets bored and says she wants to see Alto soon. She then remembers how Alto promises to get stronger in order to protect her. In the exam hall, Alto sees Lowlight sleeping and thinks he is out of his mind. He almost scolds Lowlight but decides to face his exam first. Later, Lowlight wakes up and finishes the exam in seconds. He moves closer to Alto and mocks him for being slow. The invigilator warns the duo to stop making noise. Just then, a guard enters and informs the invigilator that a student has been found dead in the bathroom. The invigilator immediately realizes that Lowlight is not a student. He goes after Lowlight, but Lowlight summons a stone golem and paralyzes the invigilator. The students evacuate the area immediately. Pharynx and Vermiel burst into the hall immediately and launch an attack on Lowlight, but he waves them off easily. Pharynx then informs Alto that Lowlight is the youngest mage to have been promoted to the Platinum Square because he is very bright and brilliant. Lilia, Cheryl, and Marks try to enter the hall, but the guards stop them. When they finally manage to enter, transference magic sends them back outside. Lowlight starts attacking Alto, Pharynx, and Vermiel with his stone golem. He manages to trap Vermiel, but Alto bursts into a very powerful mode and goes after Lowlight. He launches various attacks on the golem and destroys it. He attempts to go after Lowlight, but he summons another golem that impales Alto in the shoulder. Alto asks Lowlight what he wants, and he says he and his team want to destroy the world. He adds that they need the demon's power to do so. Vermiel transforms into her true self, but Lowlight easily overpowers her. Lowlight then tries to kill Alto, but the book he used to summon Vermiel shields him. The woman from Alto's dreams comes out of the book and says she is a memory of the Mage of the Beginning. She asks if Alto is willing to protect Vermiel, and he says yes. She adds that she was the one that sealed Vermiel in the book as per request. The Mage of the Beginning then freezes time and takes Alto into Vermiel's memories of 550 years ago. Alto sees a child version of Vermiel running around happily. Alto watches on as Vermiel plays with her sisters. Vermiel was raised by a nun with other orphans, Melee, Lynn, and Kate. Vermiel looks very happy, and the Mage of the Beginning tells Alto that what he is seeing is one of the happiest moments in Vermiel's life. Vermiel's family know she is a demon, but they don't care, and they love her for who she is. Vermiel's family is poor, but they never allow that to interfere with their happiness. The nun once told Vermiel that God loves everyone, even if you are a demon. One day, some kids discovered that Vermiel is a demon and start throwing stones at her. Melee arrived and chased them away. However, a large mob soon mobilizes and demands that Vermiel be brought out. The crowd blames Vermiel for every bad thing that has happened to the country. The nun approaches the crowd and tries to tell them that Vermiel is harmless, but none of them is ready to listen. Melee then tells Vermiel to run far away so that the crowd won't get her. Vermiel agrees and starts running away. While hiding, she overhears some of the mob threatening to kill Vermiel's family. Upon hearing this, Vermiel decides to run back to the town and hand over herself in order to save her family. Vermiel gets to town and realizes that her family has been hanged by the angry mob. She falls down crying, and soon the crowd gathers around. Vermiel lost her temper and went into her monster form for the first time. She killed everyone and burned the town to the ground. The Mage of Beginning tells Alto that what he has witnessed is the reason Vermiel was later locked away in the book. Alto then moves over to Vermiel and realizes that she can hear him. Alto comforts Vermiel and tells her everything will be okay. Just then, Vermiel transforms into her adult self. Alto says he doesn't care what Vermiel has done in the past and kisses her. Immediately, the duo wakes up in the present day, and Alto declares his love for Vermiel. After Alto declares his love and commitment to Vermiel, the magical chain Lowlight used in holding Vermiel shatters into pieces. Lowlight then summons a very powerful golem to attack Vermiel and Alto. Lowlight says Vermiel's power and purpose are to destroy the world, but Alto tells him to shut up. Alto says Vermiel is a good person and he will always stand by her. Vermiel and Alto decide to combine their mana together so they can defeat the golem. The duo constructs an ice spear and uses it to defeat the golem. Enraged, Lowlight puts together his hands to launch an attack on the duo, but Heliodor comes in and stops him. She says she can't hold the transference magic any longer and they need to go. Lowlight agrees but tells Alto and Vermiel that the war is just beginning. Lowlight and Heliodor then escape through a portal. Vermiel then calls the Mage of the Beginning by her name, Fatima. Fatima asks Alto if he is ready to defend Vermiel against all enemies, and Alto says yes. Fatima says she is happy to entrust Vermiel to Alto and repairs the building before disappearing. As the dust settles, Alto's friends enter the building to hug him. In order to become stronger, Alto starts training with Jessica and Chris, but he is easily defeated. Chris tells Alto that he lacks experience and tactics. However, Alto promises to get better and thanks the duo for taking their time in training him. That night, Alto and Vermiel have fun in bed, and Vermiel thanks Alto for accepting her for who she is. Alto and Vermiel attend the student council meeting. Elena says they need to work together to stop the attacks, and the group agrees. Lilia, Cheryl, and Marks receive their bronze test results and are happy to have passed. Lilia teases Marks and says she doesn't know how he managed to pass, and Marks says it's one of his talents. As the trio celebrates their success, Lilia notices that Alto is not with them. She assumes that he and Vermiel must be doing something naughty together. However, Lilia is right. Vermiel and Alto are seen kissing in public as the duo confesses their determination to protect each other. Now that sounds like a happy ending to poor Vermiel. Subscribe and turn on notifications now to get more updates on future episodes of the show.